Did this studio just scam Berserk fans? Yes, based on my findings. Originally, Studio Eclipse was the hero of the community after creating the Berserk Black Swordsman trailer. Recently, it came to my attention that the official Berserk company, Hakusensha, called out an animation group by the name of Studio Eclipse on September 10th. From that point, I gathered evidence that could possibly make this one of the biggest anime scams. First, starting with this notice that came from Twitter where the official Berserk owners gave this warning. To our readers, the production of Berserk animation is being announced on the following X account, linking Studio Eclipse, and website studioeclipse.com. But such production has not been authorized by Mira Kentaro, Studio Gaga, the copyright holder. In addition, the videos accompanying the announcements are being displayed without permission. Hakusensha Inc. Now, at first glance, this didn't sit well with me or the community. Fan projects from art, music, animation, and unregulated merch are the backbone of the anime community. Berserk anime adaptations have been known to be controversial and clowned on in the anime space, since they're considered to be trash compared to the manga. Berserk 2016 is a prime example of this. Keep in mind, this tweet generated millions of views, but it's not a copyright notice. It's more of a kind way of telling Studio Eclipse and the public that this is not an official Berserk project, and that they have no right to create it. So it's not a copyright notice or a cease and desist from what I'm aware of. However, when I got digging with my team, the project revealed to have many red flags. One being that they lied about being a non-profit. Quick note for the audience. For the sake of my sanity and yours, nonprofit will be abbreviated to MP, since I mention it quite a lot. If you generate any income for a project and say you're a nonprofit, it doesn't make you a nonprofit just because you said so. Being a nonprofit means that you have to identify yourself as a legal entity. Here's the definition. Calling oneself a nonprofit or claiming to operate as one without the proper legal structure and registration can be misleading and potentially illegal, depending on the jurisdiction. Legal structure. To be a nonprofit, an organization must be legally registered as such. If you check any official IRS listings, you won't find Studio Eclipse as a non-profit anywhere. Check their LinkedIn page, for example. It says that they have a studio of 150 members with only 8 actual employees listed. On top of that, you see what company type they list themselves as. Self-employed. Last time I checked, non-profits like the Red Cross have to put themselves down as a non-profit. That means that they have to meet the requirements like being a legal entity in the eyes of the US. And in the United States, non-profit organizations are required to share certain financial information with the public. Studio Eclipse doesn't do any of this. Another point is their sus Patreon. If you wanted to have a fan-funded project for Berserk, why choose Patreon? It's a subscription-based platform where not only did they have people give reoccurring payments since last October 3rd, 2023, but they haven't even disclosed how much they've made or where project funds are going to. It's all vague. If you really had a project in mind, a GoFundMe would have been appropriate since they have a definite goal to hit and people can see how much is being given at any moment the project is up. Their Patreon has 3 tiers, $5, $10, and $20. So let's do some quick math of possible money generated from this project. If we take their total followers in social media, which would be just over 300,000 across Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, let's call it an even 300K. And if just 1% of them pledge in the middle tier of $10 on Patreon, we can now multiply that times 12 since Patreon is a monthly subscription service. They'd have 360,000 conservatively since last October. This would make this one of the biggest scams in anime, overtaking the AnimeTube streaming Kickstarter service that generated 100,000. Do you guys remember that? It was a project that promised to offer every single anime for free on their streaming network. Now, estimates could be higher than this for Studio Eclipse. However, this is all speculation at this point, since they haven't shared any of their numbers across the board, even while claiming to be a non-profit. Other projects are dead in the water. This isn't Studio Eclipse's first project. Their initial project, called Attack on Titan Requiem back in 2021, is based on the fan manga that gives an alternate ending to the series. Similar to the Black Swordsman, they released a few promising concept art and trailers throughout the years. Yet they haven't produced anything substantial, even though years have gone by. But right after this, they announced Attack on Titan Project Wit on July 14th, 2023, a few months before their Berserk project. Here they promised to reanimate their favorite Attack on Titan final season scenes in the style of Studio Wit, the old studio who animated the anime's previous seasons. It's kind of weird that they slapped on Studio Wit's name even though they don't technically have any affiliation with them, other than hiring some freelancers that were on the project. They indefinitely stopped the project via an announcement by Justin on their Discord on April 29th, 2023. We'll get to him in a bit. Now, given the situation with Hakusensha, the team for Requiem manga has clarified that Studio Eclipse and them are 2 completely separate teams, and that there's no collaboration with them. You can even see that they have their own website, apparently. Another point is the players at Studio Eclipse. The people working at Studio Eclipse seem to be very mysterious. One person you'll find everywhere is Justin, who goes by the name of True Requiem online. He's a 19-year-old who's also the producer, sound director, sound effects designer, and the founder of Crimson Joy.
What's going on, guys? True Requiem here, and a lot of you may know that I am the voice of Guts on Studio Eclipse's Berserk. Please look forward to the release in 2025. it's going to be amazing. And show some support to my cast, because I did a phenomenal job directing them. Show some love and support to the cast. They did amazing as well. But thank you all so much for watching the trailer. Stay tuned for more updates.
The official music group that made this completely original banger of a song. Justin also considers himself a veteran voice actor, as well as playing Guts in the Studio Eclipse project. You can also find that Justin also has a Patreon for himself. You might even mistake him for the CEO or the founder of Studio Eclipse, because you'll find his presence all over social media, dropping replies all over YouTube, Twitter, and Discord. He owns a public Discord server for what seems to be the Studio Eclipse server, called the True Requiem's Tavern, as well as being staffed on their 2 other Discords we're aware of, Shingeki no Requiem and AOT Project Wit. Following the credits, you can also find Axel, the freelance CEO and freelance director of Studio Eclipse, but he doesn't have much info out there. Most interestingly, the founder of Studio Eclipse is Shaburash Rai. I probably butchered that. He's 20 years old and lives in India. And looking through his description, so at the age of 17, in his own words, founded Studio Eclipse, which is currently one of the world's largest non-profit online animation studios. However, the studio is shown to be based in Georgia, where Axel lives, so a lot of pieces seem to be out of place. Everyone else listed in the credits of their videos and on their LinkedIn pages appear to be just freelancers, but it's still strange to have your company listed as 150 members. What's strange is that the company lists itself as self-employed instead of a non-profit, something like the Red Cross would, or even Goodwill. My last point is that this all affected other fan projects. Other Berserk fan projects got caught in the crossfire. Studio Taka were in the middle of animating the Berserk manga into a motion graphic, which looked very promising. However, they announced that they decided to shut down on their own. Additionally, Studio Arch said that they would continue to animate Berserk like the official 1997 anime, stating if Hakusensha did reach out to them, they'd stop the project if asked. But unlike Studio Eclipse, Arch has stated that all the money coming in for Patreon is public information that could be found at any time by anyone, with a passionate team of volunteers helping out. Studio Eclipse really did poison the well for every other fan project. The best way I've seen it put online is, you'll have to understand, making a trailer is easy. Making an episode is extremely difficult. You'll continue to see people make trailers and nothing coming from it. There's a reason studios have 20 animators just to make episodes. All fan projects will only be trailers. This animation studio thinks that they can drop a Berserk anime better than the official company, speculated to be worth over $1 billion. So did they scam Berserk fans? Honestly, I don't know. There's evidence that could very well back this up, but we just have to see what else comes out, and if they will be transparent anytime soon. Right now, there's no end in sight for Studio Eclipse, as they plan to wait everything out, even choosing to keep their Patreon up with no announcement of the call-out post by Hakusensha. Here's an update. They did come out with a statement on October 4th saying that the project will still be coming out at an undisclosed date. Their Patreon pages have been taken down, as well as all the trailers involving the Black Swordsman project, all by their own will to establish good faith, in their own words. Studio Eclipse mentioned that starting next year is when they'll be making steps into becoming an official studio. A little strange how they're now acknowledging this, when before they marketed themselves as a studio. Additionally, on November 2nd, they dropped their AOT Requiem animation. Well, a 1-minute teaser to another animation. As of now, they wiped most of their trail, taking down their Patreon and YouTube videos. And now they have an excuse to abandon the project, even though they didn't get a cease and desist. This isn't their first rodeo either, as this is their 3rd fan project with nothing to show for. So I leave you with these questions. What happened to all the money? Was this really a scam? We'll most likely never know. But it's starting to look more and more like the Berserk community unfortunately got Griffith'd. I'm Luis Sankara, and be sure to subscribe and check out my Instagram for more manga content. Until next time, and adios la familia.